Has anyone seen Hold of the Dragon or whatever it's called?
Yes.
There's no tattoos. Like, what even are we doing?
Oh, shit.
That's
Hello, and welcome to Freefall Talk and Purple Rocks Hold, where I am here with all the ladies tonight, my brilliant co-host, Roof Mistress Leigh-A, Wise One Shelly, and Melindhra. How are you doing, Roof Mistress Leigh-A?
It's been kind of a rough week. Very glad we're doing Ask a Wise One work edition today. I did throw in a question of my own because, my work stuff has me in a funk, but I couldn't not be here tonight. Very excited.
We're glad you're here.
Hour and a half, yes.
We're glad you're here. Glad you made it.
I almost failed, but I'm here.
But you rallied and you're here. We love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Wise One Shelly? How's it going?
pretty good. It's hot as balls here.
What temperature are balls exactly?
Right now they're 28 degrees Celsius. So
like room temperature everywhere else.
yeah, well. For
right.
me, I'm dying. I went for a walk today and came back about 20 pounds lighter just from sweating out water, which is such a waste. I have so much toe. But yeah, it's hot.
Maybe it all evaporates and it creates clouds that don't rain.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That is amazing. And Melindhra, how are you doing other than wondering about ball temperature?
Listen, you have to be really precise when you're testing the temperature of balls, because too hot balls, then they just burn things, and too cold balls, then they can't perform accessibly. So other than that, really good.
Shrink up if they get too cold.
I think if they get cold, they just run away and hide.
Sometimes.
As I do when I get cold, I just want to run away and hide and get warm. So
You know, it really depends on the balls.
Yeah. Some just like to retreat in on themselves and just be like, nope, I'm not into this.
And some are like all about being like super expressive, except in certain weather conditions. So, you know,
Yeah,
part of the
very
theme.
mercurial, those balls. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah, exactly. How are you, Bain&Chiad?
I'm great. I'm excited that we're here. I've had a pretty hectic week at work, but it's almost over. So happy to talk about Wheel of Time with my besties.
Yay!
And all the foldies. It's great to see you all in chat. I will try my best to put your comments up on the screen when I can. And if you are new to our show and you don't know what a foldy is, it's basically anybody who's here with us in chat. And we'd love for you to join us. If you're new, especially, please give us a wave in chat and we'll say hi to you. Yeah, great to see you all. We're going to start off with the Daily Veil, as we normally do. So it'll be here in a minute.
We can.
Spear brothers and sisters, it is time to cover up your face, for the wheel of time has news, and we shall dance the spear's roots. This is the Daily Veil.
Yay!
Spirit.
I
He's
know!
here.
It was
His
so
voice
weird.
is here.
I know. It was so bizarre.
Rob here tonight, for those who don't know.
Oh, yes. I meant to mention that, actually. Speaking of holds, Rob is moving to a new hold tomorrow and is packing tonight. So let's all wish him a lot of luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting new adventures for him and his roommate and the little doggy.
Yeah. How many Geishine do you think he has helping him pack?
I mean, I would volunteer all my guy shine if he asked, but he didn't ask. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I'm definitely not helping.
No, I'm curious.
oh, I'm not helping.
Oh, we're not Geishine. What are you talking about? Why would we help with that?
Yeah, and I'm curious how Wetlanders get new holds. Like, do they raid? Like, how does this work? We'll have
That's a
to
really
ask
good
him.
question. That's a really good
Does he
question.
get to keep a fifth of what was in the place before?
We'll have to ask him when he's back.
Mm.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time staring, like, through Rob's view of his hold. So what would, if you could pick one item from what we've seen in Rob's hold, what would you pick from the
Maverick.
view? Maverick, okay.
Those blue lights. I like
Yeah,
them.
I was gonna say, I love those lights. They're pretty great.
I was going to
They
say
are.
the Christmas lights. I love the Christmas lights.
Yeah,
Maverick would have been my first, but Wise one and already called dibs, so.
we could split them.
Yeah,
We
we
just like,
Oh,
She
a
could have the
custom
head.
fan agreement? I like that.
yeah. Oh no, I was talking about like literally cutting him in half and just, no,
That's
no.
support Maverick.
that's very
Alright.
biblical of you.
I know.
We got our
Nothing if
first,
not.
I'm sorry to interrupt this lovely conversation, but I just
Yeah.
saw that we got our first butt rock in chat, so
Oh,
we must
oh.
comply, of course. So let's do it.
Butt rock.
Yeah. Ooh, that was too short. I think we need
Too
a little
short?
bit.
Yeah, we want a
We need to
longer.
like luxuriate
Favor the
on
butt
that.
Yeah, let's just bathe, like forest bathing. Let's just butt rock bathe.
Butt rock baby.
Yeah. Let it wash over us.
Yeah.
How's
Ooh,
it going, butt rock?
Nice to see
You are
you.
so lovely.
it's good times.
See, we don't get to worship at the altar when our Wetlanders here.
It's
So,
true.
give
Yeah,
it-
Actually-
Robin cuts us off earlier.
If I had had the forethought, I would have made it our background for tonight, but no one would be able to see it anyway.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you for the butt rock call out.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Mental note for the next all Aiel threefold talk next time we ditch the Wetlander.
Yeah, we can make our windows super small and then it could just be like all butt rock all the time. And we could get a little animated gif of that, like moving butt rock in action, like
Or I wonder
Descending
if there's a
into the
way to make
water.
it like a fifth screen. So
ooh,
there's
yeah.
just-
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
if someone wants to make us a butt rock gif of
Oh my.
the
We
descent into the
will
Wilderness,
accept.
I don't know if I can handle an animated butt rock.
Oldies, I feel like you have your new challenge.
I know we haven't actually gotten into the Daily Veil things, but speaking of Daily Veil-ish and the impending season 2 of Wheel of Time, do you think we will get more butt rock?
Absolutely.
I'm going to will this into existence.
Yeah.
manifest.
Like land butt rock or other associated butt rocks?
I mean,
Both.
there are multiple. There's only one original butt rock, but there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen multiple rocks that are butt rocks, but I mean, the worshipable ones. But I think there will be more. Oh, did that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I agree with the
follow.
chat that the Rand butt rock is next.
Yes, Rand Butt is next.
Rand
We'll
Butt is
also
next.
take Marcus Buttrock.
Oh my gosh!
Ooh.
Beth Weston.
Beth.
Beth Weston super chatted us.
Thank you so much, Beth.
Mel,
Beth.
have I told you that I love you? Animated butt rock, you've made my day, night, and week. And yes, more hashtag butt rock forever. Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh, we're gonna get
Thank
a
you so
collection.
much.
I hope we get a collection of butt rocks by the end of the series. That we're just like
Ooh.
rotating
Oh my
through
God.
the different butt rocks.
Yeah.
You just blew
That would
my
be
mind,
amazing.
Leigh-A. This is going to happen.
This is a good idea. This is
By
a
the
good
end
idea.
of the series, we should
From
have
your
enough, like,
mind.
butt rocks to be able to play to like, I don't know, all about that bass or something. Like, we gotta put a good
Or
song in
Andrel's butt
Yes,
rock song.
compilation.
Angel's butt rock song. Yeah.
That
Because-
compilation.
Yeah, if you guys have not heard Andrel, the Bard of Time's butt rock songs, and the sequel, which I can't remember what it was, which was also just as good, is he just like makes up ridiculous songs, and he made up a song about butt rock without even knowing what it was, and yet it was oddly fitting. So go follow him on YouTube and Twitter and learn more about his amazing taste in Wheel of Time music. He's a gem.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree, Beth. Anything from Angel is epic, and we should play that song another time on our show.
Yeah.
We must.
I think
It
the
was
follow-up was the
glorious.
Trouser Moose song.
That's what it was. It was
Oh,
Trouser
yes.
Moose. I couldn't
Trouser
remember what it
Moose.
was.
Yes.
I
Trouser
almost kind of love Trouser Moose. I mean, like, I'm a Shido, so I can say this because, you know, I can just say whatever the fuck I want. But I kind of love Trouser Moose more than Butt Rock as a song. As a song.
As a
As
song.
a song, I
I got
think I did like Trouser Moose better.
He did say he was doing a chorale at some point, and he never finished it. So we'll have to call him out on that.
Wait, a chorale for butt rock or for Trouser Moose?
For Butt Rock, he was gonna do it as like
Like
a
a choral.
choral ensemble.
Yeah, because we told him the lore, and he wanted to turn that into some sort
Yeah,
of
he
choral
wanted to make
piece.
it more of a traditional ballad, I guess.
Who
I'll
knows?
make Butt Rock.
Not of musicians or somebody who's a musician or has a musical background.
It was
Correct,
good. Those
but
were
I'm not
good
trying to-
words. Those were good words. Keep them.
I love that we
Yeah.
have lore. Like, I mean, it's been almost a year, so I guess we're at the point where we have lore, but kind of amazing. Anyway, should we do some Daily Veil, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Do we usually play the music?
The new music? No, I refuse. I'm rebelling. I can't deal with that new music.
It's really stressful.
It's tense, man. It's real tense. I can't handle
It's
it.
too boppy.
Yeah. Maybe if I had those blue lights, it would like calm me down, but I don't have them. So
But you
All right,
know, I
so-
love them here, so we can do whatever the fuck we
we
want
can
to
do
do.
whatever the fuck we want. In fact, stabby stab.
Yes.
Mine fell on the floor.
And ramen rattles. Let's just do stabby stabs and ramen rattles all night.
All night.
Well, that looks
Oh.
really obscene.
Yes, Kev, we know. Your trouser moose will live on in infamy forever. It's true.
Yeah, I feel like we need an illustration of Trouser Moose. Because I
Possible.
appreciated the real Trouser Moose, but I feel like someone out there can turn Trouser Moose into some sort of beautiful comic rendition of it. That
Another
have so
challenge,
many-
Foldies.
Talented people in the fandom. I'm sure they can.
Yes.
Are you okay, Leigh-A?
You guys just broke me.
Have we broken you already? We're only
That was
16
on
minutes in.
episode. I like wasn't completely drunk at that time, so I just don't remember like how ridiculous that conversation was. So that episode, just for calling it, was when we had 4 different hosts from 4 different countries. So it was Canada, Australia, US, and Great Britain. And like just shenanigans ensued the entire time. The Canadians and the Australians had been drinking a little bit beforehand. I'd been
That
drinking
doesn't sound
a little
like
bit
us.
beforehand. I think Rob even was drinking a little bit beforehand, and we just got silly. And the Trouser Moose just go back and check that episode out. I don't
Oh,
remember.
someone in chat's asking for the link.
Ooh.
I am not able to get it right now, but if
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll take a look and
someone
find
in
it.
chat could
I
find
my
it and
buddy
post it.
Anas in chat, And
At least
if
give
you're
us
in
the
chat,
title
you can find
of what the name
Yeah.
of that episode was, and then you can go
find
back and easily find it.
Anas, you're an honorary mod. Find the link.
we have
to-
I was just gonna say, yeah.
He's
I don't
not
even think he's
currently.
here.
He's not, so you can send it to me.
He said he'll get it. He'll
yeah.
get it. He can put it in.
Anas. You're the best, and we'll make you a mod soon.
All
right,
Wait,
anyway.
isn't he already a mod? How can
He's a
Anas
mod for the
not be a
Dusty
mod?
Yeah, that's right. He is. He's totally.
I was on
Anas is a mod.
the Dusty Wheel when that happened.
Anyway,
Sorry.
Daily Veil. Yeah.
All right, I
Like
will
20
put
minutes
this up on the
later.
screen, and maybe we'll get to it at some point. So the first thing that we are going to talk about tonight is our lovely friends at Watt Series have given us some news. We've got 2 more season 2 cast members revealed. So we had heard about this woman on the right here. She actually tweeted, I'm going to scroll down to her section first, because she had tweeted earlier, before this article was posted on Twitter, that she'd kept it a secret for a year, that she's going to be in the 2nd season of Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Tiny part, but the experience was amazing. Hair and makeup in Prague and filming in Italy. I was treated like a queen. This is Malkier. She's a Scottish Pakistani actor. So who do we think she is?
Do you think that last line is a hint?
Yeah, so initially I was trying to I think she might be just a random Aes Sedai, maybe, because as a smaller role, as we saw in episode 4, there were a whole bunch of like background Aes Sedai that still had pivotal roles in and actually the episodes before and after, they still had parts, minor speaking parts, if any, but just it's the cast that builds the character, those people that you see in the background that are still so much. Yeah, I think and being treated like a queen, I do think might be a hint. Because I'm imagining like some sort of gorgeous gown and like amazing hair.
So my vote would be like either a queen or an Aes Sedai, who maybe she's an Aes Sedai who gets captured by the Sanchin, and like all you see is that capturing moment. I don't know what they filmed in Italy though. I haven't been keeping up enough with like knowing like what what they think they filmed in Italy for, because it's not Falma, because Falma is in Morocco, right?
Right. Yes.
So what would they have been filming in Italy? That would have been season 2. It could have been any flicker stuff. It could have been anything on the journey to like try and find the horn. It could have been Kyrian. I don't think we've got like a Kyrian location pinned down, so she could have been a party person. She could be a noble.
That was my guess with Kyrian.
So many choices. Yeah.
Seeing some good guesses in chat. We've got a sitter, maybe Queen Galdrian instead of King Galdrian.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, interesting ideas here. Tylin, I don't know. Tylin, I wouldn't think would be a small part, but you never know.
But it could
be.
It could be for season 2 a very small part, but I don't know why Tylin would be in it. But
and she's a Sean Chan noble.
Ooh, Colaver. I like that, Luke.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I guess time will tell. But this other one is also a mystery here. We've got. I am not Irish. Do any of you know how to pronounce the Irish name here?
No, because it's never how it looks.
I'm gonna attempt the first
one. All right, Mr. O'Toole.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of Peaky Blinders crossover in this show. Like so many.
Yeah, Natasha O'Keefe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we've got this guy.
Yeah.
I saw someone.
And Aram was in Peaky Blinders, the latest season of Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. That's helpful. Because I forgot about Aram. No, someone, I think it was Amis Farstrider on Discord, I believe, said that he looks like a pater, and I totally agree.
See, because I kind of like, he strikes me as like he could almost be like a relative of a coffin. Like he looks a little, he's got a little Donald Finn action with his face, you know?
I was
So,
Kind of looks like a Donald Barney combo in a way. I don't know.
sorry, what
seen
did you
that?
say, Leigh-A?
Carradine,
Oh,
Joachim Carradine.
really? You think? I don't know. His face is too cute to be a white cloak and a, I don't know.
Just let's remember Eamon Valda, what they did to us with Eamon Valda.
That's
So-
true. That's
Okay.
true. That's true. Good point.
You know
But
what?
we
It's
also
a
had that,
point,
like-
because we
like-
we know the name of the character. It's right here.
Oh, wait.
is it?
Oh,
Forgot about
Yan.
this.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I remember
Yan.
reading this. I did read this before we started talking about this, everyone. Just
Could that be a code name though, like Steve?
don't
Yeah.
even get me started on Steve.
Don't say Steve.
Someday we're going to get an answer to my theory.
No,
Someday.
It's like when the show's over, like several years, and Rafe is like, "Oh, ha ha ha! I fooled these people, and here's the answer to what Steve is."
And I'm going to be right. I'm going to be right. And I will be validated in like 20 years when Rafe is like doing a fireside chat, a 10-year reunion for the final season of Game of Thrones. And he's going to be like, oh, by the way, Steve is this. And then everyone will be like, Melindhra's right.
I love what Luke Geist Jedi says. Jan is Steve's last name. Hilarious.
Steve Yan.
Stop.
If I had done
Okay.
my homework like I was planning to, I would have looked up in the companion to see if there were any names similar to Jan, to see what
I feel
it
like
might
the chat would have told us by now.
be. Probably.
Our foldies are so smart.
They are
Ooh,
so smart.
so, but are there any Y names if we're going with their other way of code naming peoples? Like, are there any Y names that we think he
Hold
could
on one
be?
sec. Hold on one sec.
Well, I will say Jan is sometimes spelt with a J, Jan, but he's too young to be
Yeah.
Jane Farstrider.
Ooh, and Jane Firestrider
just a
is
little
a
bit
woman
young.
in the show.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't
I don't know if you guys
clear
remember all that.
because he said Jane herself, but he could have been referring to Egwene. Like Egwene thought she was Jane herself.
So there's a Y. It's YUAN, and Araphalin Aes Sedai of the Yellow Aja.
Mhm.
Vara got there first. Good job.
And then
Vara.
is it Yuri and Stonebow? So it could be like he could be a flashback. Yeah, False Dragon.
False Dragon, who could channel
Mhm.
circa 300 to or 1300 to 1308 AD. After, I thought I wrote those down at some point. I remember. We'll figure that AD later. Somebody help me. He arose from the ashes of the Trolloc Wars. He
He
supposedly
can't be
declared-
Yukuri,
Yeah.
the Aes Sedai.
Urian supposedly declared himself at the summer solstice. Well, anyways. So,
Hmm.
and then Juan. Going back to Jay's.
I have no theories.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
I
He
like
could
his
be-
face.
I like his
Yeah.
face too.
Yeah. It's
We
very
need to see
expressive.
more photos to decide if he was Stonebow or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he does look like someone who could be stoned.
Maybe he's a youngling. He looks like about youngling age.
Oh, could be.
You know what I mean? So maybe he might not be a big role. He might just be like one of the younglings that do their youngling thing.
Yeah, could be. Could be. But he was on Peaky Blinders, so that like at least speaks to me of like not necessarily like a tiny bit part, you know? Like maybe something a little bit more substantial, like a single episode arc, some sort of arc.
A youngling. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, he could be Pater, like Glenn's saying he likes the Pater idea, and I do too, and maybe they just change it to Yen to confuse us because we know about Pater. But
They've
Yeah,
definitely misdirected our
trippy.
names before.
But if
They
they're
have.
if they're gonna just like mess up all of their code naming, like we're not gonna be able to guess anything anymore. If they're gonna like put P names as Y, like maybe there's like a whole cipher that we're gonna have to understand. It's gonna be like angels and demons like all over again. We're gonna have like a little like cipher queue that we're gonna have to figure out like what they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess
Who
they did
knows?
probably learn their lesson that they were trying to hide people's name, and maybe just switching the first initial of the name is not quite as coded as they thought it would be.
It's almost like we're an obsessive fandom.
If I was them, I would just do something different for every season. Just to like, so once you figure out the code, the season's basically like started or over, and then there's a new cipher, which is good for secret keeping, but also fun for the fans, because then speculation just goes up through the charts on like, oh, let's figure out the new cipher.
I like
That's
that.
what I would do.
I like that.
I think I would just like randomly pick things and then pretend like there was a cipher the whole time. I think that's how I would do it. I would just be like, oh yeah, there's a code, definitely. Go search for it.
You're the worst.
Yeah. Pick it up, Turing, you got this.
There's like several fairly well known that are easy codes to break once you have the cipher, once you figure out the cipher. So I wonder if that's what the Tweeter of Chaos was trying to give us with those like sequential tweets that had themes. I wonder if those are cipher codes. And I just
So
came up
are
with it on
you-
the spot.
Are you proposing that there was something deeper than season 3 Greenlight? Like, what's his name? Like, only Skyshine proposed and Kikieri did? Or you think it's like, it goes, like the mystery goes deeper than that? Is that what you're saying?
I'm on the spot headcanon that that's a potential cipher or something.
Ooh.
So
All right. Make note. Make note.
I know. All right. So
Love
all
it.
the Twitter time people, go forth and figure it out, because that's like, I've never been good at ciphers and breaking codes. I just read about them and I know that they exist, and I've always been interested in them. I've attempted my hand, but it's just always, I'm not good at riddles either. So like, give me a Sudoku or something like that.
I like Ulver's ears proposal because it would just drive everyone insane. The cipher is the second letter, not the first.
Oh my god.
And so if we follow that it's the A name, then it could be just like anyone. Half of the characters in Wheel of Time start with A.
Oh.
That's awful. Don't torture us. I hate that.
All right. There's not a whole lot of other news, but we definitely had to point out that Malkier is coming up so
Yay! So soon.
It's in 15 days. I think like less,
Oh
a
my
little
gosh,
less than
that's
15
so
days at this
crazy.
point. Yeah. And you can no longer buy an in-person ticket, unfortunately. In-person tickets are sold out, but you can still buy a virtual ticket. So if you go on to the website under the registration page, get your virtual ticket, you'll become part of the secret Discord section for Malkier, which is already jumping today. We had like a ton of new members come join us today. So
Yeah, I got my email yesterday.
yeah, it's definitely hopping today. So please get your virtual ticket. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be able to see almost everything that they're offering along with the people who are there. So we will all see you virtually as well. And then maybe next year, the 4 of us will get out there for Malkier.
Yeah. It would take, we'd have to be impressively brave, like braver than Shido normally are to be able to cross the pond like that. I mean, that's a lot of water.
Yeah.
But I hear you don't actually have to take a boat to get there.
No.
So
I think they found show wings again.
Yeah, the show wings don't make you feel like especially if you're not right at the window, you don't see the water.
okay. Yeah.
There.
You just have to deal with a lot of smelly people around you. And some of them are annoying, and you may want to stab them.
Smelly
Listen.
wetlanders.
Hey, I think as Aiel, we should be capable of embracing the natural smell of humans. We live in the
But there's
desert.
different types
When
of smells than we smell in the wasteland. They are
Listen.
not the shoopy.
I'm not gonna judge people for farting. I'm
Oh, good reference, Leigh-A. I
not
love it.
gonna judge people
I
for
was wondering if I got
farts.
that right.
Oh my god, I love it. Maybe if
For
we
me,
have time, we
it's
should
not so
play
much
the
not so much the smell. It's I've got my headphones in. Please don't talk to me about your theories about
Yeah.
everything. I don't want to hear them.
Yes. Read
Um,
the scene. I'm an introvert. Like,
I don't. I don't even know if I should talk about this, but I was recently on a showing, not going over water because that's insane. But yes, I was seated next to a stranger, and I didn't give all these details to the people I took a picture of, but he fell asleep with his hands down his pants, like just straight up holding on to his junk while he was sleeping. And he was also, it was a 2x2 showing. He was using the inside armrest as his headrest. So he was sleeping with his hands down his junk, and I was just like, this is a 45-minute flight. Why do I have to be subjected to this? And like, I didn't have any space because he was like this, and I'm like right here, and I'm like trying to listen to Pat the Daggers. And I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, oh, why is this guy grabbing his junk while he's snoring? And then I like lift my hand up, and at some point I'm like futzing with my earphones or whatever, and I slam my elbow down, and I literally just elbow that guy like in the shoulder, like elbow, and he like woke up and took his hands out of his pants, which was pretty impressive, and then actually shifted the other way. But I just would like to say, you don't need to do that on a show wing or in any situation. That is something that you do in the safety of your tent. You don't.
Inappropriate.
You don't need to
Back to
Yeah.
our earlier conversation about the temperature of balls.
Yeah.
They might have been cold. Maybe he was just trying to warm them up a little.
That's true.
what
That's
sweatpants
valid.
are
I should
That
have
is
been.
what sweatpants are for, not your hand. In public.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Or
true.
maybe his hands were cold and his balls were the
Balls
right
were hot.
temperature, and he
Yeah.
was trying to
That's what
balance it out.
Gloves are for.
I don't know,
That's a
but
concept.
but if anybody is unclear,
I've been freezing on airplanes before, and I've never shoved my hands into my pants to make my hands warm.
okay, but I mean, I don't want to make assumptions, but I also don't think you have balls, Leigh-A. So
It gets
I mean-
really warm down there.
it is really warm. It's
Like,
nice.
I will not shove my hands down my pants, but put them
Yeah, between your knees, like a human.
no, a little higher up, very much higher up.
Between your upper knees.
But your upper, let's be clear, your upper knees are still not the front of your pants with your hands on your penis.
My pants.
True.
With literally,
Demo.
Okay.
I do this.
Thank you for
On the
the.
plane, if my hands get really cold, just because it's really cold and I'm trying to keep them warm.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Also,
I
wear a
understand.
sweater on a plane or something, because it
Yeah.
does get cold sometimes.
It do-
Also,
it-
sometimes
it
gets really
does.
hot and you need layers. So
It does.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
apologize. Show wings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't-
But anyway.
I've
No,
seen
but
so much ridiculous shit on.
I 100% agree with you. I was, by the way, in case it wasn't clear, everyone, I was making a joke. Regardless of how cold your balls or hands are, do not connect the two of them in a public place.
No.
That's-
Especially
that
when
is
you're
just
sitting next to a
phone.
stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And for people who possess balls and penises, there are many other ways to satisfy the need to sleep and cuddle with your own appendages.
I'm dying.
I feel like there's
Yes,
pieces of clothing
Andrew,
that would
that
have
needs to
the
happen.
same effect.
Yeah. Yeah. There are options. Yeah. He also possessed a backpack that he did not use for any sort of... He just fell asleep. And honestly, in his defense, he fell asleep. And I feel like it was almost like a comfort object. Like, it was almost like, this is... Like you fall asleep and this is how I'm comfortable sleeping. Yes.
Did he cuddle it first before falling asleep, or did he
an emotional support penis is what I was going for, you know?
And like, is that what he did?
Robbie,
did he just straight up do it? It's like, this is what I'm fucking doing. I'm like,
I love that. That our Chief Foldy popped up just as we got to emotional support penis.
Which I have a question about. You know how they have weighted blankets? Can you get a weighted emotional support penis?
I feel like that would be a medical complication that you would need to see your wise one about.
That is true.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I have emotional support penises, but I use them in different ways.
Welcome to
Luke, guys, should I ask the important question? Was the emotional support penis wearing a service vest so I would know that I shouldn't pet it? It was not. So I probably should have tried to pet the emotional support penis, because otherwise it would have felt like, you know, I was ignoring it. It wasn't a working penis because it didn't have the vest on.
Yeah. It was just a... What's the word? A domesticated penis, not a...
Yeah,
house trained.
House trained.
I mean,
fetch you a beer out of the fridge or turn off the light, but you know it's there when you need it, and just always loves you.
In its defense, it never came out. So the hand might not have been house changed, but the penis clearly was. Yeah.
That's the rule on show wings. The cats have to stay in their characters. The penis has to stay in its pants.
Yeah. Yeah. So at least so maybe potentially it was, and he just forgot to bring its cute little vest.
As long as he kept it on a leash the whole time.
I kind of now want to make tiny vests that I give to people if I see their hands in their pants.
Oh my god, we should totally make this fun.
Just be like, here's your emotional support penis vest so that you can keep doing what you're doing.
It doesn't even need armholes. It's great.
No judgment.
It's literally
just
a tube with a button on it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
That.
Oh my god, Shelly.
Thank you, Rajesh. Yes, it is still Daily Veil.
This was news of my life. This is why I wasn't here with you last week, because I was dealing with the fallout.
This all has to do with getting on show wings and going to Malkier Con.
Exactly.
Right.
Malkier Con, show wing, emotional support penis. Clearly related.
Yeah.
Yes,
Clearly.
Absolutely. All right. We had one other little small thing that we wanted to bring up on Daily Veil. We just wanted to give a little... Yes, believe it or not. Our lovely friend on Twitter, Blue Aja Beetle, posted this hilarious meme earlier this week, and we just had to show it to you all. What leaves a bigger memory than a passionate kiss? A stab wound. And there's a chicken. Like,
it's good stuff.
It doesn't get more Aiel than this.
That deserves a ramen rattle and a stabby stab.
Absolutely. What I appreciate about this joke is there's no like other stuff to confuse you. It's very clear. There's not a pond. There's not a tree. There's not like two guys climbing on each other and yelling. Like, it's very clear what the punchline is, which is obviously the chicken.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like many things in the world, jokes don't need two dudes talking to each other.
They really just need stabbing and chickens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of Wetlanders on Twitter are trying to make jokes that Aiel would find humorous, and I feel like this was the first one that really like cut through all of the ridiculousness and just like went straight to the point and made it so that like our our social constructs of the differences between our cultures did not impede our ability to enjoy a laugh of a joke together. Like this is...
This person listened to Avienda's lessons more than Randall Thor did.
100%.
Yeah, that thick-headed sheep herder.
Yeah.
Ulver's ears just did a good one too.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Rosharan chicken. I don't remember the Rosharan chicken in us. I have to go back and reread.
There's some joke about how like the only birds on Roshar are chickens.
Yeah.
They're like there's no other species of flying
Foul.
Owls.
that than chickens. Innumerable species of crab, but only chickens.
Oh,
Only
yes. Now I remember. Okay.
Mhm.
Even those chickens aren't, like, they're not necessarily feathered. So, like, they're just a different form of crustacean. And then there's... Anyways, that is Cosmere. That is not what this
Yeah,
show is about.
yeah.
I think a lot, like, I know what you're talking about.
We've wandered away from Wheel of Time. But since we're
Yes.
talking about chickens, I would just be very stupid not to bring up that Fresh Start for Hens Chicken Rescue UK are the recipients of the funds from the Malkier charity auction. So this is the charity that Juliet Howland is a member of and a big proponent of, and it led to Hen News on Takaranriad, which is the segment that Jen frequently does to give us some updates on Juliet's hens. So again, another good reason to head over and get your tickets for Malkier because it will be saving some chickens, and we love chickens.
And I think, aren't they still taking auction donations or things to be auctioned off? They're still
I
accepting them?
believe so, but don't quote me on it. I believe they are still taking auction donations.
Yeah, you can email Malkier
Yep.
if you are interested in donating something. They will let you know. None of us are on the committee.
Yes.
We're just on the like,
We're just cheerleaders.
Yeah.
pro bono com team.
I'm
Yeah.
knitting a pair of mittens, so if you would like to bid on a pair of Wise One mittens.
I love that.
I could make a snake.
Mm.
I should make a snake.
You should make a snake.
Yeah. And if you're from the US or Canada, we do know people from both those countries who are going that could potentially transport for you. We'd have to arrange that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what
Rob's figuring all that out.
Yeah, just talk to Rob. You know how to find him. And if you don't, go on the Malkier website and all the info you need is there.
Also, you're watching this on his channel. Have you subscribed and liked this video?
And commented below so the algorithm makes us stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Like
so
subscribe.
Rob gets money so he can quit his job as a chef and keep doing this forever. That's our plan.
We have something we can bribe people with. So, like for the Dusty Wheel, it's like and subscribe for Manfear. So when they get to 50K subscribers, we get Manfear. Like, can we promise something? And maybe we
Well,
I mean,
like and
we
subscribe
already-
for.
We already did a sweat tent. What else can we
I know.
offer?
That's true.
We just gave that up for free.
I'm sure if like there's a new milestone that maybe 2000 is our next milestone.
I feel like if Rob gets his... So here's my sequence of events. If Rob can quit his job,
Yeah.
and we get invited in the Dusty Wheel after, we show up to the Dusty Wheel sweat tent. And don't tell the innkeeper that we're going to do that.
That is Steel to the Flame, all of y'all.
Yeah. Oldies, shh. Rob has to quit his job, and we have to get invited on the Dusty Wheel, despite all the times I've taken the piss out of the innkeeper. And we'll show up a sweat tent.
So this would not be the time that we're on there to talk about Avienda, right?
Yeah, no.
Different
I mean,
time. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
yeah. I think the what are we going for? 2,000 subscribers goal? Yeah, that might be after the Avienda show. So we are, just as a reference for people who don't know, we are going to, the Dusty Wheel, the innkeeper has kindly invited us to join him for one of the Becoming segments, and he's doing Becoming Avienda, and we're going to join him for that conversation about Ayula Smart and what it takes to turn yourself into a Fardari's Might. So we're really excited about that. Whenever that happens, we don't actually know yet, but yeah, we're gonna be on the show and have a fun discussion about that sometime in the next few months. Yeah,
a milestone coming up. Our 1 year is coming up.
Yes.
August 22nd, I guess.
I think technically it is.
Wait, not August, because we're already past that.
I think it's technically the 8th of September. It was the first Thursday in September, but that's right before MalkierCon. So we're going to celebrate our anniversary on September 15th. So we hope that you will all tune in that night. It's going to be a crazy celebration. So yeah, we're very excited. For our anniversary.
We're excited. It's been an amazing year. I mean, I've gotten to know so many amazing foldies, and I've gotten to know all of you amazing ladies. And if it wasn't for the show, like we wouldn't have been able to do all the crazy shit that we got up to over the last year. It's awesome, and so I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for everyone.
You're grateful?
No, I just like got a little nostalgic for a hot second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm gonna save up all my
cry. Like save it up. But I'm just saying like it's been an honor. It's been an honor doing this show. And we're coming up on a big anniversary, and we're really just grateful to be able to keep doing it.
There's going to be crying, so much crying, laughing.
Yeah. There's going to be
mushiness, all sorts of love.
Almost didn't come on our rally, and then I was thinking, I was like, oh, I'll just get on for the pre-show and chat with the ladies, and then like, no, I'll just like stay the whole time. Like, oh, let me go like wash my face and put on makeup, and like actually put on deodorant and. Actually, I forgot to put on perfume. Shit.
We can't smell you through the screen.
I didn't want to say anything. But...
All right. So let me do a real quick sweat tent talk, since like that came up. There are things that sometimes just make you feel good in it. It's just, it doesn't matter. So like in high school, for tests, everybody would wear sweatpants, but I would dress up, and because like that made me feel good. And so if you're about to go, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be something small, it could be something big, but if there's something that makes you feel good, so like right now mine is lipstick and perfume. So those are two things that just, make me feel really confident. And because I know that I love them. I love the way I look with lipstick. I love like that random scent of my favorite perfumes, just when it randomly wafts up. So that's what I do to give me a confidence boost. So figure out what your confidence boost is, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be those things. Some people might say mine are very superficial. Fine. They make me feel good. Fuck you if you think they're superficial. Do whatever makes you feel good, and make that your routine, that when you go do things, regardless of what they are, like again, if you're going to the grocery store and you feel like shit, do your routine.
I make my bed every day. That that talk on YouTube, the former, I can't remember.
Oh, it's a 4-star Navy SEAL.
Yeah, and he talks about how like always make your bed. He's right. Like I've made my bed
one thing in the day.
Yeah, and I've made my bed every single day since I was 16, and it just, I get home. It's nice to sleep in. I have a very pretty mattress. Like I have duvet cover. It's like a galaxy, and just seeing that on my bed just always makes me very happy. So, it's just something that kind of like, no matter what, that starts my day. It's kind of just part of my routine and ritual. So 100%, Leigh-A, I 100% agree. if you do those things that make you feel good, and who cares if it's superficial? Yeah, sure. No one sees my bed but me. That's really sad. But, you know, I'm happy with it.
What a perfect transition into the next segment that we're going to do today.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're ending Sweat Tent Talks and we're going into the next segment.
What segment are you referring to, Mel? We have a few.
Ask a wise one, because the wise one just went wise on us. And
That's what I was thinking too.
Let's wise up.
So I think
Keep her going.
I think we should skip the Reading Rainbow this week. I think we should do it another time.
Well, let's
Just
see
for
if we have
time.
time afterwards.
If we have time, but yeah, we can have a separate stabby episode. So if y'all were here for my stabby surprise, I'm sorry, we might not get to it tonight, but we all know you were really here for Ask a Wise One. So we're gonna get right to it. We don't have an intro for Ask a Wise One. We need to make that happen. But we're just gonna start. Shelly, did you have one that you wanted to start with in particular?
You know what? I feel like doing the heavy one first.
Okay.
And getting that out of the
Yes,
way, and then
I agree.
let's go from heavy to light, because we do have
Okay.
a couple heavy questions this week.
Yeah.
And I can give the content warning for anyone who needs to take a break. The next question does address. So we're going to do one of our threefold talk wild swings, where we swing from jokey, funny stuff to very serious. But so as a content warning, the next question does discuss sexual harassment. So if that's something that bothers you, go take a break. Come back in about 5-10 minutes, and you can always rewatch the segment, because we really want you guys to be safe and feel comfort in this environment. So.
And we will put times on the YouTube discussion if you want to skip it.
Yes, we will.
Yeah,
All right.
later in the video.
So you have been warned. I'm about to put this on the screen. So if you don't want to read about sexual harassment either, please avert your eyes. So here's our first question for tonight. I recently had to climb up on my desk to open a window. I am very short. My male coworker made a crack while I was up there that I should do a dance and mimed waving $1 at me. I'm a woman in a company that is mostly men. How do I deal with incidents like this?
And can you keep that up and put us to the side? Is there a way to do that?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't think I can. If there is, I don't know it. Oh, nope, that's
Oh,
not
you're
what we
big.
want. I guess so. All right, here we go.
So
I'm gonna make
for
Shelly
those of-
bigger.
Yeah, so Ask a Wise One, we give some Aiel advice to real world problems. And so the chat, we always welcome your advice too. If you've dealt like something like this, if you want to give us more advice, ask questions about what we offer, that's how this segment works. We really want it to be a dialogue. So the first thing I do want to point out in that question is it's disrespecting sex workers, and that is not okay. So if you're ever thinking of making a joke like this, sex work is work, and we shouldn't be making fun of people for it or using it as a tool to tease people. So that's kind of the first thing off the bat. As for how you deal with this, and this is going to be a theme in some of the questions tonight, I'd say first of all, know your laws and rights wherever you are, and start documenting the heck out of everything. So my guess is a workplace where something like this happens, this probably happens more than once. So make sure you're writing everything down. And honestly, I'd be looking for a new job. In a workplace this toxic, I would 100% be looking for a new job. But if that's not an option, my favorite thing to do when people do shit like this is, if I can't always come up with a witty remark. Some people are very, very good at a witty kind of stick your head up your ass, something like that. I'm not always good on the spot with those things. So I like to play really dumb and be like, I'm sorry, can you explain to me what you mean by that? And just make them uncomfortable. And then when they start trying to make you uncomfortable and be like, oh, it's just a joke, it's just a that, it's just a this, I'm just like, no, I'm really sorry, I'm not sure what's funny about that. Could you please explain it to me? And I play as dumb as possible. Because whenever you're in situations like this, it's always important to remember the other person does not have a right to make you feel uncomfortable. You have a right to make them feel uncomfortable. And so that's one of my favorite ways when I'm in a situation like that is just to kind of be like, could you tell me what you mean by that, please? Because I'm just not sure I understand the joke you're making. And that's kind of where I usually start with those things. If you can be witty in the moment, 100%. But yeah, playing dumb is usually my best way, is make them realize how stupid they're being. Anyone else have any advice they'd like to add to that?
So I just want to second the make them explain it, because when I was younger, I would so I've worked in hugely majority male environments my entire adult life, and I've gone through wild swings in how I've dealt with these things, from like trying to joke back and then trying to defend myself. And I think what Wise One Shelly came down to is the best way to do it, because if you're joking, it means, and this is just advice. So if you're joking, it means you're accepting. You can choose to do that, even if you're snapping back in a, like some people do it in a very smart way that cuts people down. They're very Shakespearean about it. And this is not just male to female. This is female to male. Like women very much can sexualize men. Men can sexualize men. Women can sexualize women. It goes all across the board. So regardless of how, like, you can be Shakespearean about it, but it still makes a joke about it, which still, for the most part, gives permission. Anyways, I've started taking Wise One Shelly's approach. She told me about this 2-3 years ago, I think, how she approached this. And when guys at work, and sometimes they just don't know. They don't know that they're saying something stupid. So when you just ask them to explain it, then it really makes them critically think. And that's a lot of what you want to do. You want people to start critically think. Now, if they don't get past the point where they start critically thinking, that's where you need to take it to the next level. Not only know your local laws, whatever country you're in, whatever region you're in, but also know your company policy on sexual harassment. Know who your HR people are. And there are many, so in the Navy, I was a savvy sexual assault victim intervention. So people could come to me to talk about sexual harassment, sexual assault. And I knew what to do. I knew those steps moving forward. So know who your individual advocate is. And again, this is not female only. This is men and women, because both men, women, non-gendered people are subjects of sexual harassment. So know that, and this is so unfortunate, but we all have to know that, because it happens everywhere. You could have the best company and there is still that one dickhead. So it's unfortunately true. So know who to go to, like memorize that as soon as you get into your job, because when you're in that moment, you don't want to have to look that up. That is such a awful extra step to have to take. So memorize that first thing, have that always in your head. And so when this type of situation arouses, and if you don't feel like it resolves, you know who you can go to for counsel, and you know that person should be a safe person. And if they're not, there is a larger problem, and that is why you need that next level to go deal with that. So
I would have one thing to add, and that's that if you don't feel safe confronting the situation directly, you don't have to.
Yep.
You know, if it is not in your personal style or in your comfort zone in that moment to directly address the person who is making an advancement that you are not comfortable with, you don't have to take it, and you always have the option to leave the room. You always have the option to go somewhere else and then find that safe person when you are ready. You know, you don't always have to like be witty or come up with a remark unless that's your personal style of dealing with conflict. If your style is just to like not even address it, that's okay too. I mean, the issue is that someone else is behaving poorly and your reaction is how you're going to react. It's not good or bad. It's not better or worse if you come up with a witty retort or if you say nothing. It's really a poor behavior on the part of somebody else, and how you deal with it is in your complete control. So take the steps that make you feel the most safe and the most comfortable, and don't and try very hard not to let that person's actions influence how you feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I think Mark brings up a really good point, and that's why my brain doesn't always go to HR.
No, absolutely. There should be a sexual assault victim rep. If your company doesn't have it, there's outside organizations that can help you. And again, like it's very regional or national. So it's unfortunate. That's why I say just know who those people are. So I work for the Department of the Navy, and we do have savvy reps. And then there's also a sexual harassment, sexual assault hotline here in Washington, D.C. And I have that number plugged into my phone. So I know immediately who I can go to if I feel the need.
Yeah. And I think, and some small companies won't have that HR person or that support. And that's why it's so important to document, because you will be relying on those outside resources.
Yeah.
Bain&Chiad, did you have anything to add?
I do not. I think you all covered it really well. Said everything I would have said. So, shall we go on to our next question?
Yeah. Shall we talk about the junior in the company?
I was thinking maybe the other one that we have the content warning for, just to get more serious ones out of the way, and then we'll go to junior.
Yeah.
So this one also has a content warning. It's talking about long COVID. So I know many of you have maybe dealt with some of those symptoms yourself, or had family, or have lost people. So if that's something that you do not want to talk about or hear about, take a break now. So here we go. I have long COVID. I feel lucky that my doctors are sending me to a COVID specialty team, but this is going to require many hours and days spent testing. My work has already been uncomfortable with the amount of time I took off due to COVID. How do I move forward to ensure I get back my healthy, quote unquote, normal self?
So first of all, I'm sorry. Long COVID sucks. It's real, and it's one of those things that we're still learning about. So it's a very difficult sickness right now, because we don't understand the effects. We don't know how long it's going to last, and so it's a lot of limbo, and it's a lot of stress. So I'll tell you guys something personal. 5 years ago, I had cancer, and one of the things that came out of that process was that I learned very clearly: your company is not your family. Whenever your work says, "Oh, we're a family," bullshit. Your family can't fire you. Like, you don't do a capitalist exchange with your family unless you guys have very different dynamics than most families. So I think it's really important to remember what the role of work is versus what the role of everybody else around you is. So with work, I'll talk about work and then getting back to yourself second, because it's kind of a two-part question. With work, what I had to do is I had to be very clear about, in most parts of North America, they can't fire you because you're sick. It's difficult, but document everything. Keep your doctor's notes. And I think what's the word I'm looking for? I tried to be as flexible as possible and be very open with my boss and say, this is what's going on. This is what the toll it is taking on me. These are the accommodations I need. When this is over, this is how I'd like to make sure that, we catch up on things. So I did a lot of the pre-work, which is very hard because when you're sick, you don't always have the energy. You don't always have, but I made okay, I told my boss, I've already briefed this person on this file. I've already done this thing to make your job easier. You know, I've already set up my out of office accounts. Like, here's when and being very clear about here's when I'm available to check emails, here's when I'm available for calls and meetings. And at this point in time, I'm going to be in surgery. So obviously, if I'm unconscious, I can't answer for calls and emails. And then I'm going to have 3 days after that of recovery. So being very clear about what's going to happen and, you know, being ready to provide the documentation. You shouldn't have to. Let's be clear about that. This is a fucked up system where you have to prove that you're sick. And that is part of like the capitalist neoliberal world. And it's unfortunate that we live in that, but it does help you with those sorts of things. And so those are just some of like the tools I used, was just being clear about what I was able to do, when I was able to do it, saying, you know, if things go well, it'll take this long. If things go poorly, it's probably going to take this long, but we have to touch base. And like I said, and the thing to always keep in mind for your own mental health, when I was in hospital, my friends and my family visited me. They cooked me meals. They helped me with things. My work did not. Like, let's be clear about what work did. Work continued to give me a paycheck because they were required to by law. So always keep in mind what the relationship is with those different people. As for getting back to your normal self, I think with chronic illness, I think the word normal is when you can start, let's say, deconstructing. You know, as some things will always be a little different depending on how long the chronic illness lasts. And don't forget that you're also aging while you're dealing with that difference, and bodies change. And, you know, that's all going to affect your aging process. And so as part of that, we have to understand that our normal is what we are right now. We often compare ourselves to what we were 10 years ago. Like before the pandemic, I was deadlifting almost 300 pounds. If someone asked me to deadlift 300 pounds right now, I'd throw out my back. And that was normal then. And now what's normal is I take long walks and listen to audiobooks. So I think it's kind of almost a mindfulness approach that what's now is normal, and it might change and it might not, it might get better, it might get worse, but it is here. And there's a lot of mindfulness resources out there about dealing with like chronic pain, dealing with illness, that really kind of go in the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy world that I found very helpful. Just kind of saying this is a thing. The pain is not me. The fatigue is not me. The fatigue is a thing I'm experiencing. And that helped me as well. And unfortunately, there's not like what's the word? I don't have a good blanket solution, but it's kind of just accepting that you are still a whole, meaningful, valuable person, even when you're dealing with a chronic illness, and society's going to try and tell you otherwise, and society is wrong. Like, I think that's kind of the summary I'd say at the end. You are still a valuable person who deserves love and care, even though with chronic illness, society sometimes tells you you aren't. So, sorry, I ranted a lot there.
That's beautiful. That's great.
Anything to add?
Mel,
Yes?
don't you have something to add? Or do you? Or
Do I? I don't. I thought that was incredibly succinct and
well, you gave me some really good advice about my long COVID.
yes, yes. So the advice that, because Leigh and I had a long talk about a week ago, because she was expressing some concerns, and again, it's related, just like it's related to the sexual harassment that we talked about earlier, is know the laws in your country and know the provisions that exist around long-term disability, because long-term disability, at least in the United States, I can't speak for anywhere else, is considered a disability under the Americans with Disability Act. And so certain sectors of organizations and companies have to abide by reasonable accommodation for people who are suffering from a disability. So you can go to your HR department and request accommodation because you are dealing with a long-term illness that is impeding your ability to function at the same level that you had previously been able to before. And so there's a lot of different resources out there about that specific thing, but at least in the United States, long COVID is considered a disability, and so you can request accommodation, and it can be from anything from fatigue and brain fog to needing other accommodations because of a more physical ailment. So there are options out there for people who are dealing with illness that they had previously not had to face before, and you should seek those out. And there are a lot of resources out there for you, so you're not alone. And there are people who want to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bain&Chiad, do you have anything?
Did anyone mention FMLA yet? Maybe.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, just that's the only thing that comes to mind for me. There's the family medical leave option, and I know in my state there's actually a state version of it too. But I had a coworker once who had cancer, and that was the advice she was given, was to immediately, as soon as she got her diagnosis, apply for FMLA. Because if you've worked for that company full time, I think it's for at least a year, you are entitled to a certain number of days that you can take off with no repercussions. So you'll use all of your sick time, all of your vacation time. Like, say you need to be out for a really long time, use your sick time, use your vacation time, but then you would still be able to take time off as long as it was within those number of days. It also doesn't have to be consecutive days. It could be, like you need days off here and there to go to appointments or to have testing done. So it protects you, basically. So look into that. I don't know the specifics. I'm certainly not an expert on it, but definitely look into FMLA if you have long COVID. Yeah. Cater Mellon says she has done that. So, yeah. There was a question in chat I wanted to bring up. I know it's sort of a last minute one, but it's related to what we were talking about. Maybe we could just answer it really quickly. It was from Light Blinded Fool. So it's a two-part question here. A coworker of mine has cancer, and she told everyone, but it seems like everyone wants to treat her and her situation as business as usual and try not to think about it. Mm-hmm. In some ways, it seems like maybe she doesn't want a lot of attention or to treat her in strange ways about it. But what is the best way to respond to that beyond general support and encouragement?
I always just say, ask what you need. Just say, hey, thank you for sharing that. I'm available to help. Let me know what I can do. And just leave it there. And you just kind of have to accept that as a grown-up, she'll be able to ask for help if she needs it. And if she doesn't want help, she won't ask for it. That's kind of how in workplaces I tend to go, is just offer the help and then don't push it more. Because sometimes pushing it more, it's an interesting loop that you get into where it's like the other person's like, I want to help you. And then you're like, but all I really need for help right now is to know that my coworkers are there. And then they're like, but here I did this thing. A really good example is like my mom. I love her dearly, but she can't sit still. And so after my first surgery, when I invited her, I just needed people to keep me company. That's all I needed, because I wasn't allowed to lift more than 5 pounds. So I was like, just be around, and off the off chance, because my cat is 17 pounds, and on the off chance I have to lift my cat, someone's here to help me. And she could not sit still. She had to clean out my fridge. She had to dust my entire house. She found my weed cookies, which led to a very odd conversation. She asked for a cookie, and this was before weed was legal in Canada. I was like, no. And I never not share. And so she was very confused why I wasn't sharing these cookies. And it was just like, all I needed was someone there. But then I felt obligated to give my mom things to do to make her feel useful. Yes. So I was like, I guess if you want, you can take out the garbage, just things that didn't need done. And I was sitting there trying to find jobs for her. I was and it was a very odd loop to get into. So just offer the help and be there, and trust people to know when they know to ask when they need it. And they will probably have people they ask.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to be in a position where then that person feels like they have to take care of you or meet your needs or soothe your anxiety about their illness. So it's definitely important to let them take the lead.
Mm-hmm. And, don't be afraid to give them a frozen lasagna. I think that's the other thing. If you know there are dietary restrictions, I loved frozen food because I could put it in the freezer. And then on days I felt like crap, I was like, oh, thank God, I've got a soup in the freezer. It was just, that was the best thing if you needed to do something, was just give me some frozen food that I can cook at a later date.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes the hardest part about dealing with someone who's ill or dealing with or even a person who's had a death,
issues,
anything like that is that sometimes there's just so many decisions that the person who's in the depths of it, in the midst of it, is having to make, that they just want to make one less decision, you know? And so sometimes even if it's just like, here's some food, if you want it, you want it, if you don't, you don't, but this is here for you. Like someone just being like, I'm just gonna take this decision off your hands for today can be like a big relief for a person who's dealing with a lot of stress. Yeah,
I do feel like food and laundry are the two things that are you have to have done all the time, and then if you're sick, that's
if people have kids, it's just like, hey, can I take your kids to the park for you today? Like I'd be happy to like take them away for 2 hours, you know? But it also depends on your relationship with that person, because you don't want to force yourself on someone who you don't have a relationship of trust with.
And then if you're just a work colleague, again, like you might stick with like creating a food pool where like frozen food is just delivered, like you organize something like that shows that you care, but it's not too personal. You're not trying to get up in anybody's personal business, because when you're sick, like you really don't want people around.
Unless you're me.
Unless you're an extrovert, and then you do.
And that's why it's always important to like be like, hey, I'm here if you need me. Because I think it was interesting because a few people just dropped out of my life, and then I was like, hey, what happened? And they were like, oh, I wanted to give you privacy. And I'm like, when in my life have I ever wanted privacy? Like, it all depends on the individual.
Yeah. And I'm the opposite. I would be like, leave me alone, pretend I'm not sick, don't talk to me, don't offer to help me. Like, so it's really important to respect the person's personality and what they want.
Yeah.
I'm like, come over and rub my feet.
Yeah.
And don't do it.
Yeah, I had a colleague who was pregnant, and her parents, her in-laws, passed away. They got sick with COVID, and her baby was premature. Like, it was just like this insane onslaught of all things at the same time. And you know, often what people do in that case is just like organize like a food thing, but her family has like a million different dietary restrictions, and so we wanted to make it easy on her, but we didn't want to make her have to like make too many decisions unnecessarily. So we just organized like a group pool to get her like DoorDash gift cards, so that she could just order the food that would work for her family. She didn't have to worry about cooking it. She didn't have to worry about like people like coming up to her house when she didn't want people there because COVID and pregnancy and babies and all of that stuff. You know, it's all about trying to make it as easy as possible on the people that are really struggling. Yeah.
And that's great for areas where something like DoorDash exists, but if you don't live in that type of area, like there's actually websites that you can go to that people just sign up for things. So God, I wish I
sign up genius is what you mean.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. Sign up for slots. Like, I'm going to deliver food on this day.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to deliver food on that day.
By the time she got diagnosed with MS, it was terminal, and which is weird. Anyways, we're not getting into medical stuff, but so she flew down from DC to Miami and was just trying to take care of both her parents and her son. And so we just organized that. One of our friends set up this thing. I was like, oh my God, this is so brilliant. We used to have to like do emails, and somebody used to have to do spreadsheets, which I love. But there's a website, there's an app that does that now.
Yeah, there's an app for that.
I would still use a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. I think we should go on to our next question, but thank you so much, Light Blinded Fool, for that question that I'm sure is something a lot of people have wondered about.
Yeah.
So we're on to our next one. I'm in a junior position at my company. I'm finding in meetings no one will acknowledge when I am right about something until someone higher agrees with me. People argue that my processes are incorrect until I get management involved. What do I do?
This is really frustrating because of the power dynamics. So your frustration at this is real. There's a couple things I might say. First of all, is always cite your sources. So I followed up with this person because I wanted more information. And I was like, is this company policies or is this like more general? And they said, it's literally company policies. They work in accounts payable. And there's a series of steps they have to do to submit their invoices. And people argue with them about those steps. And so my first advice is never be afraid to be as per the attachment. Like, cite your sources. Like, it's a joke for a reason. Second, try a direct approach. If this is something that you feel comfortable doing, just be like, what do you think I gain by like making you follow a process that doesn't exist? Like, just literally ask them, like, what is the resistance I'm experiencing from you? Can you help me understand why you're so resistant to following this process? The other thing is, I know the person who submitted this was a woman. And I would say there might be a gender element to this as well. Like, having been in that position, I know sometimes I would say something and then the dude next door would say the same thing and everyone would be like, that's a great idea, Bob. And I'm like, what? Like, yep. So I know that there could be a gender element to this. And so don't be afraid to kind of call that out to your boss too and be like, this dude's not listening to me. And then finally, maybe sometimes let them learn from their mistakes. My sister is an accounts payable person and someone would not listen to her. So finally she just got to the point where she, like, by policy had to cut off their visa. And then they were stuck in a client meeting and couldn't pay for dinner. And she was like, here's all the emails I sent you. Here's all the invoices you didn't submit properly. I followed all the policies and her boss was like,
unravel your sister, first of all. That's
yes. Awesome. There's a Reddit subreddit, and I'm blanking on the name, but it's exactly like that. People like aggressively going by the rules because they had been incapable of like reasonable conversations with people, and people facing the natural consequences of their actions. Sometimes you just need to like have a reference for other people doing the exact same thing to be like, you're not alone. Other people face this. Sometimes you just need some other examples where people like, damn the man, and take it out. Yeah.
They're saying it's malicious compliance.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes, thank you so much, Tigraine. I love reading through that. In addition to tree lawyers. I mean, there's something about tree lawyers, but that also malicious compliance. Pretty fantastic. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a shitty situation you're in because there is a power imbalance and it sounds like there's a gender imbalance, but sometimes people just have to learn. I say document, follow your processes, don't be afraid to use attachments, and then you just be above board so when they screw up, you can just hand it to your manager and be like, well, here's Chad's head on the platter. Enjoy. Watch out for the teeth. Like, just
fuck Chad.
Mm-hmm.
It's always Chad.
It's always a Chad.
Why is it always fucking Chad?
Guy's a douchebag.
Fuck Chad.
Bain&Chiad, do you have some advice?
No, I'm just a maiden of the spear. I am not as wise as our wise one, Shelly. So I think she said it all this time.
So I haven't dealt with the policy side where I've stated some policy and then they later figure out that the policy was correct. A lot of mine is, as I've stated earlier tonight, I work in a mostly male environment. So I'll state something earlier in a meeting and there'll be either lukewarm responses bordering on like, whatever. Like they're just like, whatever, we're just ignoring you, or even hostile. And then a little while later in a meeting, a male will say that, an older male, because, you know, I'm about to turn 40, so I'm kind of young for the group I work with. And they'll say something that's basically exactly what I said. What I've learned, instead of arguing and being like, that's exactly what I, because that's just my brain explodes. Like, that's literally what I said.
Yeah.
Like, stop stealing my fucking ideas. And so as soon as they're done, before anybody else can say, I'll like, as per what I said earlier, and then there's always something that I've learned to leave out. Like, yes, I agree. And as per what I said earlier, which was very similar, and then add that extra component. So it's kind of learn, like, again, it's stupid that we have to do this, like, especially as women. And then, like, I'm sure, like, I'm a white woman, but I'm like, I've seen my other minority colleagues have similar problems, and they've adapted this strategy as well. And it's stupid that we have to do this. But yeah, so like, hold something back, like, say something. You'll either get shut down, or they'll start accepting it, and then you can add on if they start accepting it. It only becomes a win-win, because once somebody starts stealing your ideas that are good, then you have something to hold over their head. And it's like, oh, per what I said earlier, which is very similar.
As per my last statement.
Well, so my
As
fucking
per
ideas.
is the most amazing 2 words in our language.
I get it. I used to get interrupted a lot at work, and so I memorized the phrase, "I'm really sorry the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours."
Like that.
That is the most Canadian response I've ever heard in my life.
So I got used to saying that when people would cut me off, and I'd wait till they were finished. I'd be like, "I'm really sorry the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours." So to continue what I was saying.
Love it.
Can we have ramen rattle Shelly? Like, she's sassy as fuck.
Yes. Love it.
Love that.
We also, while we're taking a little break here, we had a request in chat. We had Skeeter, who came up with this incredible acronym here, CYBR, cover your butt rock. So of course, we have to have a butt rock in response to that. I mean, what else are we supposed to do?
Butt rock.
Thank you so much.
Butt rock.
Yeah, double butt rock.
Double butt
Double
rock.
butt rock.
One for each cheek.
We just needed
right.
that to, like, whew, like, chill out.
Yes.
Good.
Help
That
us
was good.
help us decompress a bit.
Cleanse your palate.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah.
All right. So are we ready for our last question of the night?
Sure.
Okay.
After
here
the
we
butt
go.
rock, I am now.
Yep.
Okay. Ready for anything after butt rock.
Yeah.
We're doing, yep.
I lost my job of 10 years when the pandemic hit, and unfortunately, they have not asked me back. So now I am looking for a new job, and it seems that it is all done online now through job search sites like Indeed. My question is, I am legally blind or visually impaired, and do you think I should be brave and list this in my bio section? I know that this will put me at a disadvantage, but I want to be honest and upfront about it. I could also wait until I interview, but I don't want to be embarrassed or anything if they have a problem with it.
Okay. So first things first, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. You have a visual impairment. It is their job as an employer to accommodate that. So know the rules in your state, but there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And I have a feeling any other accommodation, you would tell that person there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Wheelchair, extra time on a test, speak to text, any of those things you would tell another person those they don't need to be embarrassed about. So give yourself that same compassion and grace. Zero reason to be embarrassed. I would say, again, like we said earlier, know what the regulations are in your state or province, wherever you are. So in Canada, employers are required to do what's called a reasonable accommodation. So every job ad at the bottom has, if you require accommodation during the interview process, please contact this person, and that person is responsible for making sure you have the accommodations necessary. And I would say never feel embarrassed or upset when you request what is rightfully yours. And the reason I say that is always remember that people with privilege will leverage their privilege to no end to get ahead. So I'm on a job hunt right now, and I have called every single person I know and been like, hey, I'm looking for work. Got anything? I've leveraged every connection I have. I've leveraged everything I have, and I have felt zero shame about it. I will tell you that middle-class, mediocre white guy will leverage every single golf buddy to find a job. So feel no embarrassment at all about leveraging the fact that you might need an accommodation, and that is your right. So not only is it not a need to feel embarrassed, that is your right. It is not I don't have a right to leveraging my buddies for a job. You have a right to an accommodation. So there's no need to feel embarrassed about all that. As for feeling brave, I would say if you feel up to feeling brave, I think it's a great thing to be able to do. So I'll give you an example. At my old workplace, I got really, really pissed about some LGBTQ stuff that happened. And I know that I come from a place of privilege, and I showed up to work in a tie because I was just so sick of some of the bullshit that happened. But I felt very safe in my job. I'd been there for 6 years. People knew me. People, I had a voice. And this was a thing I felt very safe pushing back on. Sometimes you may not be in that safer position, and you don't have to take on the world's challenges. You are one individual. If you feel safe, go ahead, be brave, put yourself out there. We'd love to see it. Tell us how it goes. But if you don't feel safe and you just need a job, get a job. It's okay for you to protect yourself and just take the steps you need to get a job. So I think also on the flip side, if you decide to disclose, it is a good litmus test for how a company will treat you. So if you're in a place of privilege where you can afford to be picky about your jobs, that is a good way to say, how is this company going to treat me when I do stuff like this? If they're like, absolutely, here's all your accommodations, no problem, then that's a company you probably want to work for. If they're a company that says, we don't know how to deal with this, but we're willing to work with you, that's a company you want to work for. If it's a company that kind of hems and haws and is like, oh, I don't know, imagine doing that for 3 to 5 years. And so also remember, disability is medical information. You're not required to disclose it. And so at least I know in Canada and the States, I think in Canada we have PHIPAA, which is the Personal Health Information Protection Act. And I think there's something similar in the US.
It's just HIPAA.
It's just HIPAA? Yeah.
HIPAA.
And so, yeah, so you're not required to disclose that until it's part that you need the accommodation. So don't feel like you have to. It's your own personal medical information. No one can make you do that. So I think the way I would summarize it is do what you feel safest doing. If you're ready to push that boundary and be an activist, go out and be an activist, and we are here for you, and we'd love to hear how it goes, and we'll support you however we can. And if you don't feel safe, if you're precariously employed, if you are, just not feeling up to it, then don't. You don't need to save the world. So I think that's kind of where I am. Anybody else have any advice?
Yeah, that was great.
I would just tag along. I would personally recommend not disclosing it, just because there are companies that will make accommodations, but if you disclose it first, you don't know whether you just aren't qualified for the job or if they're discriminating against you. So, and again, One Shelly said, that is medical information. You don't have to put that. You don't have to put if you're pregnant. You don't have to put if you have a cancer diagnosis. You don't have to put any of that information, whether you can't hear, see, if you've got cerebral palsy. You are applying for a job. You're putting your job qualifications on there. None of your personal information goes on your resume. Put your job related information on your resume. Go to that interview, then start that discussion. So That's my recommendations, because you are a person applying for a job. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are, what color, gender, race, medical condition, none of that fucking matters. You're applying for a job as a whole person. That's it.
And I think
all the rest of the stuff happens later.
Yeah. And Cater Mellon was saying too, you may get points in civil service for having impairments, or maybe. So here's the thing. Sometimes people who are from marginalized groups feel guilty or some sort of unnecessary embarrassment when they apply to, say, a program to hire Black workers, or a program to hire, persons with disabilities or mental health or anything like that.
Or women.
And
or
again,
veterans.
I say,
Veterans.
do not. I will tell you, every single middle-aged, mediocre white guy out there is leveraging every single thing he can. He's putting, I coach hockey on his resume. Like, whatever it is. If say you work on like a mentorship thing where you help other visually impaired kids, put that on your fucking resume. It looks great. Leverage every single thing you can, because everybody else is doing that. We're in a capitalist system. You got to play the game. And if you decide not to play the game, I respect you. Go live that van life. But like, if you're gonna do it, like, everybody else is leveraging that stuff. And so you should feel no shit. If there's a program to hire Black employees and you're Black, go do it. Take it. I got a job offer today, and I friggin' went back and negotiated. I said, here's my qualifications, put me at the top of the scale. I don't know if they're gonna offer it, but like, a lot of women don't do that. A lot of racialized women do. I'm listening to a new podcast called The Feminist. What did I call it? The Financial Feminist or something like that, or Financial Feminism. And they're talking about wealth gaps, and there's so many complicated reasons for it. And one of those minor, tiny factors is people who are in marginalized positions don't negotiate and like go back. So Tigraine's saying it too. Every man's negotiated, not a single woman ever has. Go back, and it's very easy. And if you're ever looking for negotiation techniques, we can do another podcast on that. And so the person who submitted this, when you get your offer, renegotiate. Whatever they offer you, go ask for more. The worst thing they can do is say no.
Always ask for more. They're going in at the baseline. They're telling you the minimum of what they think you're worth.
Yeah. So I think it's never, ever, ever, like, just being on my own job hunt right now has just reiterated. I have applied for everything that's like hire more women. I have applied for everything that's hire more people with like disabilities, because I have a learning disability and I have ADHD. Like, everybody else is leveraging those things. Never, ever, ever be ashamed of that. And never, ever, ever feel like you are a burden because you're asking for an accommodation. Society is built in a way that excludes people, and it's society that should have to adapt, not you. So that's my soapbox for today, sorry.
Get it, girl.
I'm turning red.
You're amazing.
Well stated.
I love you. I just fell in love with you, and I asked Chad if they did too. I'm sure they did.
I'm turning
Is that
red.
a poll?
It just makes
do
me
we love Shelly or do we love Shelly?
We love Shelly.
It just makes me so angry.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my friends recently. Like, when you think about all the people who are excluded, like, what have we as a society missed out on because, we just didn't give that racialized kid that opportunity, or we didn't give that person with a disability that opportunity. Like, we miss out as a society when we don't include people, and it just fucking pisses me off. And it's just not that hard. It's really not that hard to install a text-to-speech software. It's really not, like, it's just not that difficult. It's not that difficult to make a non-gender dress code. These things are not that hard, and it just pisses me off. I'm gonna stop now because
You're amazing.
Girl, like we could go
Preach.
on a whole rant,
Yeah,
but
we should not. We have some Twitter questions to address.
We do, and we have a Wetlander in chat, by the way. So make sure you say hi.
Wetlander. What up,
Hello,
Mr.
Wetlander.
Wetlander, you
right.
have a reaction video that you're gonna need to watch.
Yes, you've been asked to make a reaction video to one of our earlier discussions. I think you'll know it when you get to it.
Yeah.
So we've got
Sorry.
a couple. We wanted to wrap up just with some light stuff. We got a couple very interesting questions on Twitter from some in-character accounts. So let's start with Andor. Visit Andor asks, my partner has developed a real taste for Kyrianan food. I can't stand the stuff. The smell, the taste, the texture. Yuck. How do I ask them to stop eating it without incurring too much tow?
You can't. Okay, Andor, real talk. Be a grown-up. Seriously. Here's a fun fact. If you try something 7 times, you will probably learn to like it. If you don't like it at the end of 7 times, you're probably not going to like it. Try it different ways. Give yourself a shot. Grow up. Try some food. And if you don't like it at the end, here's a thought. Don't eat it. And just shut your trap.
Well, and so I equate this to couples, one of which is vegan, the other is a total carnivore. And the only way that's going to work, because neither of those are going to want to compromise, is sometimes you just have to make your own food, and you can sit down for a family meal, but you have to cook for yourself. So if your partner enjoys Kyrian food and you enjoy Ibu Daran food, then go make your own food. I'm sure you can buy it at Trader Joe's, so you don't maybe have to cook it. Trader Joe's is very much a U.S. thing. I apologize.
If you're so lucky as to have a Trader Joe's in your country, yes.
But I'm sure there's
I do not.
comparable stores where you can go get pre-made food if you don't want to cook and have your own individual meals and then sit down for a meal together. It's fine. So, but you just have to, if you want to commit to that person, fucking figure it out.
Figure it out. Just figure it out.
Don't make food your breaking point.
Except if they're Kyrianan. What is this show?
I know. What is this show?
Kyrianan food is good. You just don't have to like Kyrianan.
There is a line that we need to draw, and the line is all other cultures, cool. Below that, Kyrian. There's nothing else in the below category except that one country. Their food probably tastes like troll balls and jujube nuts and some sort of combination of slime and pterodactyl teeth. I don't know what it is, but that is not what we want to encourage in this cultural exchange.
Agree to disagree.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
Hypothetically, so
if we're going to take the 5th, we take a 5th of their food.
That's right. Okay,
Take
here
a
we go.
bit of their fucking awful food.
Rajesh, it's always going to come back to balls. Just deal with it.
Of course, always goals. All right, if I had a friend who had a whole lot of toe and my friend wanted to work it off without too much effort, stress, or really breaking a sweat, what could my friend do?
Go read Lord of Chaos, chapter 33, and listen to what they say to Egwene, which is, you know the worth of your own honor. Just gonna leave it there.
I know toe is complicated for you Wetlanders.
That was Loneliest Sky Shane. So he is Aiel, or they are Aiel, I don't know.
But he's lonely, so he's probably listened to too many Wetlanders and doesn't. So
GE toe is hard. You got to deal with it.
It's true. All right, last one comes from Lanfear. If one doesn't have a job, is there a reason they shouldn't spend their time just plotting to win back the love of their life? Asking for a friend. A lot of people asking for their friends tonight.
I know.
A lot of friends in need.
Yeah.
I feel like you could do this regardless of whether you have a job or not.
Yeah.
Super generous friendships here.
I would also say, girl. If you're trying to win him back, he wasn't the love of your life.
You're better than that, bitch.
Yeah, go work on yourself. Go to a spa. Get a massage. Yeah, get a pedicure. Beth Weston is right. Go bend and snap that shit. You don't need
Feet are
that.
disgusting. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's
Work
a
on
terrible
yourself.
idea.
You don't need that.
No, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree. Never, you don't need to like waste your time on friends, family, or potential partners that don't respect you and love you. And this is an across the board thing. So if they really are not there for you, if they don't understand you, if they don't get you, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you can do better. I'm just gonna say, you can do better than a guy who was kind of so easily trapped by Moradin. I don't want to like specifically make this situation about you, but I'm just saying, you can do better than lose Theron.
Look
You
what
can do-
Egwene did. Egwene was like, "Oh yeah, no," and I'm like, "You're mostly in love with other people," and like, I'm kind of fine with it. So fuck you. I'm gone. I'm gonna go be the boss bitch of the entire continent.
Yeah.
You should go burn some stuff. Just burn things. That's all.
Yeah. Pull some skin off of people. That
Yeah.
also
Yes.
generally works really
Yeah.
well as therapy when your dude's being an
Talking
a-hole.
about
Agreed.
Roger.
Have you considered flogging? I'm just saying, it sounds like
Yeah.
something that might be up your alley.
It's
I
very
do like
kinky.
I do like being spanked. So
No kink shaming. Do
No
what makes you
shame.
happy.
Yeah.
And if whomever is not into it,
Your friends, ex.
you have lots of friends who are willing to do whatever you want to make you happy. You don't need to chase after someone who's not
There's-
giving you the glory that you deserve because you are the most gorgeous, gracious, ephemerate, like effusive, beautiful. Like the moon pales in its beauty compared to you. Like there's nothing you need to do to worry about someone
I mean,
not
There's also
honoring
an app
you
for
and
that.
your glory.
there's an app for that.
and if Robert Jordan compares your thighs to milk, girl, you got this already. Let's just say,
Milky thighs. Everybody
Milky
likes
thighs.
a good milky thigh.
who doesn't love a good milky thigh?
And there's an app for that. Just put that in the description. Milky thighs.
Milky thighs. You
There
have
are
that.
people of multiple gender types that will be happy to accommodate milky thighs.
So much swiping right on those milky thighs.
Yeah.
Also, Mel, I'm a little bit hot and bothered by you right now. That voice was.
I know, right?
Yeah, that
Thanks.
was something else.
Listen, it's my
Where are those fans when we need them?
Mhm.
listen, when you know who pays the bills, you have to honor them with every word in your arsenal so that you don't also get destroyed utterly and completely with balls of fire.
I mean, here's the question to end the night on: when one is flayed and skinned entirely,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
balls.
Do they
stand-
get skinned?
Well, they have skin on
Do
them.
they
so
fall out? Like, are
Oh.
they?
Oh,
What
Because
happens?
they're
to the
containing the balls, right?
You
So we
actually-
flay them.
You have an attempt of a malleable.
You take the
You-
skin off.
balls? Do you flay around the ball, or do you just take a shortcut?
Ooh, this is a really good
Oh, this is
question.
also like people who don't want gore.
I feel like there would be some sort of tendon that would not be part of the skin that would still connect to the dangly that would prevent the balls from being completely separated from
So-
the rest of the skin.
Yeah, so so you could take the skin off and then it's attached, but it would like droop down because there's a whole bunch of like cabling
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is there, and then they
Tendon.
would, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry guys.
Kev.
I think you're right.
What you're saying? What you're saying is there'd be just a paddle after.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you imagine, you know that game where there's like a ping pong and there's like a elastic and there's a ball connected to it, and you like hit the ping pong and the ball keeps like banging against the paddle, like that's the situation when there's no skin.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This is why we need the token Wetlander.
And I was just thinking
Chat
the
is
same.
This is exactly why we do not need him.
Yes. Well, now that we've circled back to balls once again, I think we need another palate cleanser.
It's the
What do
wheel.
y'all think?
Yeah.
It is the wheel. It is the wheel.
It's
Here
not
we go.
a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just
there we go.
just glorious.
Butt rock.
Meditating now. Thinking less
Mhm.
violent thoughts.
Okay. One more innkeeper. One more time.
Butt rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I know there's balls in that picture. We can't see them, but they're there.
No, they are there.
All right, everyone. On that note, we're gonna wrap up. It's been so fun. Apparently,
I'm so proud of us.
when the Wetlanders
Did any
not here,
viewers?
is where we go.
I don't think we had any new viewers tonight. I didn't see anyone.
No, nobody put a wave in chat. But if you're a new viewer, put a wave in chat on the way out, so we know who you are. We can say hi. We hope we'll come back next week.
We don't always talk about balls.
We're not
when
always
we
this
do.
Oh,
scary.
yeah. So we'll see.
But
you
it
then.
is important to have a theme to your episodes
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah,
that we definitely discussed in advance.
Yeah.
it was all
Yep.
part of our plan.
Yeah. So like, subscribe, join the Discord, follow us on Twitter.
And you
We
can
do
see more
things-
of Dari.
Yeah,
Hi,
you can see what we
Dory.
named Dari on the show.
Big, isn't he?
All right. So until next week, we will say, may you always find water and shade. Bye, everybody.
Bye.